Ross, how you doing? I want to start with the game of the year. And number one, are you believing in the Vikings, and are you concerned about the Bills at all?
Yes and yes. Yeah, I mean, that game was incredible, no question. You know, I know that the Vikings have won a lot of close games, but that still matters. It's so funny. Like, I was just talking about this on my betting podcast, the Even Money podcast. The Cowboys are favored in Minnesota on Sunday. So what the sports books are telling us is that they think the Cowboys are a decent amount better than the Vikings. I don't really get it. So let's look at the Vikings, right? Probably have the best wide receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. Their number 2 receiver, Adam Thielen's really good. They have a top, 5 or 6 tight end now in Hawkinson with the trade. They got top 5 or 6 running back in Dalvin Cook. Cousins is playing like a top 10 quarterback. O-line's much better than last year. I'm naming like every position, guys. I don't know what the problem is. I'm naming pretty much every position, and to come back like they have the last couple of weeks at Washington, at Buffalo, those are really, really impressive wins. I don't care how many points you win by. And then for Buffalo, the same issues are there. They don't run the ball great, and Josh Allen, as amazing to watch as he is, as gifted as he is, he still has a tendency at times to make some critical errors that cost the Bills important games. I mean, they went from being the number 1 seed, and now they're the number 6 seed that quickly, and they're third in the AFC East.
Yeah. So speaking of the AFC East, which team surprised you more based on where their standing is right now? The Miami Dolphins or the New York Jets?
Definitely the Jets. Yeah. I mean, I kind of thought the Dolphins had a chance to be pretty decent. I liked McDaniel as a coach. They've kind of gone all in on this year with getting Armstead, and you trade for Tyreek Hill. I mean, they were kind of loading up for this year. The Jets, I thought, were still more like a year away. Did not expect them to have already 6 wins this year. Especially, I did their first preseason game against the Eagles, and Zach Wilson was terrible, and then he got hurt. And I'm really surprised that the Jets are where they are. By the way, I said on my betting podcast that I didn't understand the spread in the Jets-Patriots game, and I already got 3 YouTube comments from people saying that the Jets dominated the stats first meeting out against the Patriots. So just so you know, guys, you lost the stat game against the Jets last game.
What is the line right now?
It is interesting because they were favored by 3 up in New York, and they're favored by 3 at home, correct?
Right now,
same line.
Yes, the Patriots are favored by 3 at home. So what they're saying is, now they don't account for usually a full 3 points for home field anymore. It's probably more like 2.5. They don't think it's really worth the full 3, but they're still basically saying that they think the Patriots and Jets are basically the same team. They're nobody's better than the other.
Yeah, well, just real quickly, Mego. So in that game, at least Zach Wilson, that last time, 355 yards, 2 touchdowns, but a whopping 3 interceptions. I mean, the score was 22-17. So to your point, Ross, I feel like, listen, minus the interceptions, it's probably a push.
Yeah, but the interceptions matter.
Wasn't that basically the whole game?
I understand
with
that,
the Zach Wilson interceptions?
No, I know, but if you go on the trend with him, like even if he throws under 200 yards, if he doesn't throw interceptions, I mean, listen, that's the game for me this week. Like Zach Wilson, that's it. If he just plays a clean game and if he throws for 150 yards, they'll end up winning the game as long as he doesn't cough it up.
I agree. But my point to the Jets fans on my YouTube page is like, who cares about winning the stats? I mean, like
losers.
You want to win. I mean, I called the game last night with Kevin Harlan. I mean, if Goddard and Quez Watkins don't fumble and Hurts doesn't throw the pick, then the Eagles win. Well, who cares? They did, and that's why. And by the way, the Eagles were plus 15 going into the game last night, which is why they were undefeated. I mean, turnovers matter. Now, I will say this. Turnovers are not that predictive of a statistic, right? Like teams that have really good defense, the defense usually plays well. Teams that run the ball really well, they usually run it pretty well. But you could have an awesome turnover ratio, turnover margin. All of a sudden, you just have a game where you're like -3, and it just doesn't go your favor that game.
Going back to something you said a couple minutes ago in talking about that Bills-Vikings game, Ross, with Josh Allen making these questionable choices that kind of go back to his earlier years as a quarterback, how much of that do you relate to the departure of Brian Daboll?
That's interesting. Probably not that much unless Daboll did a better job of making sure he was aware of the situations that he was in, because they've still been able to move the ball a lot. They still put up a bunch of points. It's not like Dorsey hasn't done a good job game planning or play calling, because the Bills, they're still up 27-10 in the third quarter against the Vikings. They still can move the ball seemingly at will. But I don't know, maybe Daboll either was a little bit better of a quarterback whisperer in some of those clutch situations and said, hey, take care of the ball, or don't be stupid here. Or maybe Josh Allen knew that Daboll would chew him a new one if he did that. Although, you watch Josh Allen after he makes those mistakes, nobody needs to say anything. He knows what he did. He honestly, he's just trying to do too much. Mm-hmm. And part of that's on the Bills. Like they don't, like, he's their best running back. He's their best runner of the football. They put so much on him that it feels like in some of these moments he thinks he has to be Superman and doesn't realize, like, he can just throw the ball away, right? Like, kick a field goal or just throw the ball away.
We're talking to Ross Tucker. Ross, Patriots now 5-4. They woke up without playing and found themselves in that 7th spot, that final spot for the playoffs. It's a bye week. They got 8 weeks to go. Do they hold on to that playoff spot, in your opinion, New England Patriots?
Well, in fairness, I have not studied the rest of their schedule really hard. Would you guys say it's hard, easy, or somewhere in the middle?
No, I would say it's pretty hard. You got, so basically Jets, Minnesota, Buffalo. You got Arizona, Vegas, and Buffalo again, Miami.
The Bengals.
It's difficult.
I would say probably not. Now, Vegas and Arizona, I think, are wins, but those 2 Buffalo games will be tough. Some of the other games you mentioned will be tough. My guess is no. My guess is they'll be right there at the end and probably miss out. Because the Dolphins and the Bills are going. The Ravens are going, the Titans are going. So they're fighting with a couple other teams. Like, I think probably that Bengals game is huge, because I think the Bengals are right there for a wild card. They're probably battling with, Bills and/or Dolphins, Jets, Chargers, Bengals for those wild card spots.
So the Patriots offense is pretty damn predictable. So what would be your advice to them so they can, like, basically break their tendencies and not be so predictable? Like, if you're Jeff Saturday you're like a consultant now for the Patriots.
Yeah, I would go. I would love that, by the way. That would be, if Bill called me, like, Bill, if you're listening, I will be a consultant. I don't need to be the head coach like Jeff Saturday, but, like, I can do consulting work on the side. I would go full Costanza, Christian. Like, do the exact opposite of what you think you should do in every situation.
Actually, I like that idea. So wait. Actually, you know what, Ross? I actually think like Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, I think they would understand that. Like, to be honest with you, like, listen, I don't really get what I should do. Full Costanza. I get it now. Run. I want to run it, but now I'm going to pass it.
I love what they should do is Bill should say to Patricia, "What are you thinking here, Matt? I think we should run." And Bill should call on to Mac Jones, throw a bomb. Throw a bomb to Devontae Parker.
Do the opposite.
All go. I think you're right, though. I feel like that's – and then just because you can't break your tendencies unless you freaking try, right? I mean, geez, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's a great point. You have to be conscious of it. So what I think is always so interesting in these situations, right, we really don't know what Bill is saying to them. We really don't know. Like, they have a good defense. They have a good running game. They have good special teams. Bill does not mind losing or winning ugly. He might say to these guys, run the ball. Or, he probably doesn't think that Mac Jones is playing with the most confidence in the world and doesn't want them to turn it over. I mean, you never really know, but that's the thing that's always a little bit difficult when judging coordinators is I find it hard to believe that they're not getting any input, whether it's the game planning during the week where Belichick says, listen, you know, these guys aren't any good. They're not, Ellinger can't score against us. I don't want to take chances. Just run the ball. You know, you don't know what's being said.
So you brought up Ellinger. I had to ask you what you made of Jeff Saturday's debut. He's now 1-0 with the Colts, and why he was able to play Matt Ryan now that Jim Irsay hired him.
Yeah, I think it's totally bogus because Jeff Saturday is a friend of mine, and he said on TV that Ellinger was still the starting quarterback. So on my Even Money betting podcast, I laid the points with the Raiders, and then I'm watching the game Sunday, and I see Matt Ryan, and I knew I was totally screwed because Matt Ryan gives them a much better chance to win. You guys saw Ellinger. He gave them no chance to win. Jim Irsay is like, I don't know, what's that? Is that a book where it's like, or a parable, whatever that is, where the emperor has no clothes? Mm-hmm. Like Jim Irsay says to Frank Reich, you must bench Matt Ryan and put Ellinger in. Not even Nick Foles. Not even Foles. You got to put Ellinger in. So Frank Reich's like, okay, Ellinger stinks. So the next week, Irsay says, you got to fire the coordinator. And Reich's like, well, he's not even doing anything. I don't care. Fire him. Okay, they fires the coordinator. And Frank Reich keeps doing these things to, like, save his job. And then the next week, Reich gets fired. He brings in Jeff Saturday, and Saturday's like, hey, what do you think about? I think I'm going to start Matt Ryan. Irsay's like, genius. Love it. Let's do it. And they win.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I think that, like, you know, Irsay was getting some criticism for hiring Saturday and realized, hey, I want to win because if Jeff Saturday wins, then I'll look more like a genius because everyone's making fun of me right now. So put the quarterback in and gives us our best shot. That's why I think they made the switch.
It's unbelievable. Like, Frank Reich, I don't know. I mean, hopefully he was like, just went out for a walk or something. But if he's watching that game, he had to be so frustrated because really he would have been better off if he just told Irsay to stick it and said, no, I'm sticking with Matt Ryan. Because, by the way, they might have won, like they might have beat the Patriots. They might have won a couple of those games. And, by the way, they'd be right there in the playoff mix if he had stuck with Matt Ryan those couple of games instead of going with Ellinger.
All right, Ross, listen, man, we appreciate it. Real quick, who do you think wins this game this weekend? Jets, Pats?
Oh, I like the Patriots. I like the Patriots at home. I have a tough time. I know he played better the last game, but I have a tough time picking Zach Wilson against Belichick, especially on the road. I think the Patriots take care of business here.
All right, listen, we appreciate it. Enjoy Sunday night. We'll have it right here in WEEI, Westwood 1. I know it's Chiefs-Chargers, so that should be a good one.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys. See
All right,
ya.
there it is. Ross Tucker.